Man, these days you just can't have Cyberpunk in your name and not get involved in some controversy, can you? So over this past holiday weekend, there was some censorship drama going on in the gaming world, which I always love talking about, especially in a instance like this where it seems like the good guys are going to win. There's this game coming to the Switch, for those of you interested, called Sense, a Cyberpunk Ghost Story. It's a little cyberpunk, obviously, horror game that says it's inspired by the likes of Fatal Frame and Clock Tower, sort of a adventure-style type game. But the reason so many people were talking about it is simply because of these bodacious babes featured on the art that's being used to promote it. But anyway, yeah, I saw this start when Nintendo Life posted an article just discussing its release, but I noticed the engagements on the tweet, the amount of comments were way more than they normally get. So of course I had to venture in there, and sure enough, there were just countless replies of people arguing about those beautiful, large breasts the featured girls were rocking. Clearly, you could tell a lot of people were getting involved here that didn't know anything about video games just by the way they were speaking about things. For instance, many certainly thought that Nintendo Life was like an official Nintendo news outlet, as they made replies that were phrased as if they were talking directly to Nintendo, which that's not the case. Nintendo Life is not like run by Nintendo, with many calling for censorship of the game. Those anime titties, man, they scare people. Now I want to make it clear that I did see calls for censorship. I have seen people discussing this, trying to change the reality and act like, oh, people were just making fun of the over-sexualization of the game, throwing out some criticisms, that's it. No one wanted to censor it, which if that was the case, it'd be fine if you want to say stuff like, this is clearly for basement-dwelling man-children who've never touched a woman. That's fine, you can say that. The problem I have is when people call for it to be changed, to be censored, because, again, they're scared of the voluptuous babes being featured. I don't know. They can't stand the existence of something that they're not the target audience for, I guess. We can't let people enjoy things. Which, yeah, again, you can make fun of things, whatever you want to do, but when people are like, Nintendo should be ashamed they're publishing this, this is basically porn. Which it's like, again, here's the image. This is the image they're talking about. This is porn. I'm never letting my children play on a Nintendo console again. One person was like, I'm not letting my kids play Mario Kart anymore. Because this game exists, your kids can't play Mario Kart anymore. It's a totally separate game. But the people understand. The idea by saying these things is to put pressure. They think they're putting pressure on Nintendo to either pull the game or censor it. Hey, we're not going to support your console if you allow this game to exist. That's calling for censorship. So I don't want to hear any of that people in the comments being like, oh, nobody called for it to be censored. Bullshit, okay? That's factually inaccurate. These people sound just like parents crying about Mortal Kombat back in the 90s. Hey, if you don't want your kids to be exposed to the game, don't buy it for them. Don't let them play it. Try this crazy thing called parenting. So given that, I don't want to hear any of this BS, again, of, oh, people are free to criticize things. They are. They're free to even say this shit too. But this stuff is not criticism. And I choose to believe this garbage by people, most of which probably couldn't even turn on a Nintendo Switch to save their lives, is actually disgusting and a problem. Like I said, you want to criticize something, even just make fun of it for the fun of it, go ahead. I make fun of games all the time. Call of Duty, for instance, joking about how they just sell people the same shit over and over again. But I don't go around screaming that console manufacturers shouldn't be putting Call of Duty on their platform because I don't like it. If I don't like it, no one should be allowed to experience it. Simply, that's the difference. So the publisher, Top Hat Studios, actually came out with a response to the cries of these Karens and said no. Quote, the game will not be censored. I love this. We categorically refuse. Which apparently made these crybullies even more big mad. They got, of course, the famous death threats it seems everyone always gets whenever they're involved with controversy. But they didn't just claim they were getting these nasty messages. They provided receipts of the messages they were getting. They got a whole thread just posting dozens upon dozens of really gross stuff. And reinforced still, they're not going to be intimidated. No, the game's not getting censored. In an age where it seems like everyone just caves at the slightest hint of outrage and immediately goes into apology mode, they stood their ground, and rightfully so. There's nothing wrong with having a game with big anime titties. These aren't even that egregious. I looked at gameplay for this title, and I've seen way more risque games. Yes, this obviously is catered toward people who like games with, sexy anime girls, which there's a large audience for that. That's why these games get made so often, because they sell. And let's be real, maybe 95%, maybe 99%, who knows, of the people complaining about it, one, didn't even know about the game before this controversy. I didn't know about the game before this controversy. And subsequently, two, are never going to play it regardless. If the developers chopped all the girls' boobs off and covered them from head to toe in mountain climbing gear, your ass still wasn't going to play it. You just don't want it to be made available to the people who do want it, because you don't like it. That's really these people's reasoning. They don't like it. They don't think it's appropriate, I guess, so it shouldn't exist. As always, I say, let the market decide. But like I said, if there wasn't an audience for this stuff, you wouldn't see so much of it out there. And this company standing their ground, not caving to the censorship demands, is also a big win in my opinion, specifically with this discussion centering around the Nintendo Switch version of the game, as this is an area I've actually been pretty proud of with Nintendo lately. Companies like Sony have been cracking down harder with censorship, while Nintendo's been a bit looser. I'm not saying they still don't have problems. I, like many JRPG fans, was sad to see that we still got the awful censored version of Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE. Still a good game. I still think it's worth playing, but some of the censorship in that game is so stupid and just distracting at how ridiculous it is. But they've been flipping the script in a lot of regards when it comes to comparisons, like I said, with Sony. And I gotta hand it to them for that. We call balls and strikes around here. I was screaming about their treatment of Melee people in that in my last video, but I give them props in easing up on the censorship. And I think that makes them even more of a destination for indie games like this, because again, people are going to want the best, least censored version of games like this. Those two go hand in hand, in my opinion. Best version, least censored. And they'll be able to get that on the Switch, which is fantastic. And I will say there were people also saying that the developers were kind of just turning this into marketing for the game, which, yeah, a lot of eyes are on this that weren't on it before. And I'll say, yeah, whether the developers and publishers choose to admit it or not, this certainly got more eyes on the title and will result in more sales, but it's not at all like this was some planned stunt. Like I said, I was seeing these replies in tweets that were just talking about the game being released. The tweet wasn't even about the game being controversial. And that's where I saw this start. So, whatever extra marketing, extra sales they get, the people who were complaining on it, it's your doing. You're doing alone, really. And I actually love nothing more than when that's the message to these types of people. You cried to have the game censored, and that directly resulted in it actually making more money. Maybe think about that next time you want to try and pull this crap. Oh, now a bunch of people are going to buy it who didn't even want it just to own the people who tried to censor it. You're damn right, and I'm one of them, so cry more. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on this latest epic loss for those who cry censorship in the comments. Are you excited to see developers get to choose how to design, how to make their games? Or do anime boobs scare you too? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of the Cyberpunk Ghost Story devs refusing to censor their game. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter at Johnny Zakari, and join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends, link to both in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.